Hello and welcome to CI in Under 5. My name is John Weezy, and in this episode I'm going to talk about our out-of-the-box subscription churn machine learning algorithm you can use. As you can see here, I've already imported some data into my customer insights instance. I have some hotel customer information, some web profiles, some subscription information, and some logs that I will be using. I've gone through the unify process to unify my profiles, and now I'm ready to get started on creating some subscription churn information. If you go under the intelligence dropdown and choose predictions and click on create, you'll see that we have the subscription churn model, which is out in preview. And as it says, it's a model that can predict whether customers are at risk or for no longer using your subscription or services. And we're going to go ahead and click use this model. We're going to give it the model a name. You can give it anything you want, but usually something descriptive helps here. So we're going to give it just a simple name like out of the box churn model. And the entity name is also important. We'll call this churn model like this. Click next. And then it's going to ask us to define the model. So here we're talking about what is going to predict churn. So in this case, it's the number of days since the subscription ended. And a good number here for me, I like 30 days. And then looking into the future to predict churn, how far out do we want to look? We're going to go ahead and leave that at the default of 93 days. So that's the data that we're going to be looking within. Then we're going to go to the next one, and here's where we're going to be able to add our subscription history and our customer activities. So we're going to click add on our subscription history. And that's going to bring up the pop-up here where we're going to go ahead and select our entity that has our history in it. And in this case, I have a history with subscription info in it. We're going to go ahead and select the fields that we need here, which is our customer ID field. So we're going to select the entity that we're joining the subscription info to, and that's of course our customer records. So we'll pick our customer records that has that same field in it, and then we have to give it a name. So we're going to say subscriptions to customers. Click next. And now we get provided a UI to choose our mapping and what fields we're going to map for our subscription information. So the ID is our subscription ID. The end date, we have an end date. We have a start date. We have a transaction date. We have if it is recurring or not. And the recurrence in frequency is also required. We can select the amount, but we're going to go ahead. In this case, we're going to leave that blank. We're not going to include a subscription amount. We're going to save that. Next, we're going to add our customer activities. And we have those stored out in our user logs. Here we're going to create a new activity. We're going to call it customer subscription activity. Very informative. We're doing that just because there wasn't an existing type, so we're going to create a new type. And then we have to set up the relationship, of course. So first we pick our customer ID. We need to join that to our customer records yet again. And we'll just give this a name, customer activity. Click next. And now it's going to ask us for some field mapping again, just like before. Here we're mapping to our customer ID as the primary key. Our timestamp is our transaction date. The event is our name. And details, we don't really have any that we've stored, so we're not going to provide any. Save. And we're done there. Now if we go ahead and move forward, it's going to ask us how often do we want to train our model. And here we're going to do it monthly. And there we go. And then we can review our settings. And finally, we can hit save and run. This is going to go off and take a little bit to run. And when it's finished, we will be back. And we're back after that finished running. And you can see now that I can go ahead and view the outcome here. And when I view the outcome, we see a number of different things here on the page. So the first thing we see is a training model performance. So that's going to give you a score of an A, B, or C. So an A basically means that the model accurately predicted at least 50% of the total predictions, and the percentage of accurate predictions for customers who churned was greater than the historical average churn rate by at least 10%. So that's an A. A B is when the model accurately predicts at least 50% of the total predictions, and the percentage of accurate predictions for customers who churned is up to 10% greater than the historical average churn rate. A C is when the model accurately predicts less than 50% of the total predictions, or when the percentage of accurate predictions for customers who churned is less than the historical average churn rate. So you get that A, B, C score. If you look down below, or to the right, I should say, you're going to get the likelihood to churn. It's going to give you a nice little graph here, which you can hover over and see the numbers and the percentage, just to give you an idea of where you're at. And then at the bottom, you're getting the influential factors. So you're seeing the top factors in this case were the number of days between the last activity occurring and the end of the subscription, and the length of time a customer subscription had been active are the two most likely factors to contribute to churn. So that is how you use the out-of-the-box churn model. And once you've got that, then you're ready to go and use that, say in creating some segments or popping that information up on a dashboard or something to be used by the appropriate folks. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and tune in again as we push out more episodes.